Hey guys, welcome back to another awesome, exciting video. Today's video, we're going to be doing a little bit of a movie review and kind of just Penny's thoughts about the infamous movie F1.
Wanted to make audiences feel it. The camera
today, to be honest, I feel like a kid.
Now this movie, F1, starring Brad Pitt, was actually him driving, which was pretty cool to even think about. Definitely some spoiler alerts coming up, so if you guys haven't seen the movie, close your ears, close your eyes, subscribe, and watch the movie and then come back to the video. But if you have seen the video, comment down below what you think about my thoughts about the video, if you have any commentaries that I may have missed out today's video. So grab some popcorn and enjoy today's mini review slash vlog. So first off, I want to start off that Formula F1, it's, a very, very hard to get in sport. I would say driving is a sport because there's a lot of stuff that has to go down to it, guys, from getting back into shape and training the mind and mentality to actually drive a car at 200 plus miles per hour, to go around tight bends and tight turns, and not only to do just maneuvers, but also to think about your different people on the track and everything. That also plays into a factor. And of course, you have to remember all the rules. And while doing all that crazy driving and moving at 200 plus miles an hour, you also have to remember to talk to your team. It's an insane sport that I think that to get into, besides you have Formula D and also you have F2, F3, there's different racing. There's also Indy racing. So Formula 1 was a really good movie starring Brad Pitt, and you guys can see behind, I've got the McLaren sweater. Rest in peace. It's actually my old friend's sweater. He gave it to me before his time was just up. But the movie, it was kind of reminding me a little bit of Cars and their situation in Cars 2, where Lightning McQueen, an old-timer, Brad Pitt, in this case Sonny Hayes, he was an old-timer racer and he got into an accident. Same thing like Cars. Got into an accident, he got slow, and he has to just do a bunch of different races outside of his class. So he was previously a Formula driver. I'm not sure if it's F1, F2, or F3, but he was previously a Formula driver back in the 90s. And then his car completely split in half. Now, I'm telling you guys this right now because later on in the vlog, I'm going to mention something later on, and they left Sonny Hayes on the track, which was super messed up. But the way how he drives, the cockiness, the arrogantness when he was younger, it kind of just lets you see like, hey, yeah, this is why we left him on the track. So it's very sad that they did leave him on the track to just basically be there injured and to just, expire on the track. And nobody really came to save him in the nick of time. And in result of that, he did suffer a lot of injuries. And from there, he stopped doing a lot of races and did smaller stuff. Now, same thing with Lightning McQueen. He was racing the Piston Cups, got into a big accident, and, he became slower. And over time, people just didn't see NASCAR stock cars attracting anymore. And that's when he started to getting into the speed racing and everything. And very similar story to Brad Pitt, to where he did a lot of old school training. And it was cool because in Cars 2, he tried all the new stuff. He tried all the high tech, but nothing worked. And not Brad Pitt, but the other guy, Joshua, all Lightning McQueen did. He did all the fancy new stuff, the track, all the simulations, all the high-tech stuff. But then all of a sudden, Joshua switched up, right? Lightning McQueen switched up. And very similar to their stories, they kind of switched up and repeated like the old stuff that Brad Pitt was doing. So while Sonny Hayes was doing all this old school running, training, playing with tennis balls, and really just old style training to driving. And it was cool. It was cool in the movie. They even included the infamous neck training, to where they balance on their neck while working out. And that's a very good thing to do because while you're driving an F1 car, there's a lot of G-force going around. I'd recommend seeing it, guys. And it is cool how they did touch on bases of F1. Now, the cars themselves, there's a difference between the F1 cars and the F2 cars. The F2 cars, I believe, are 3.6 liter, pushing around 605 horsepower, a V6. And the 1.6, I think, don't quote me on that, V6 Formula F1 cars push about 1,000 horsepower. That's crazy for almost a 2-liter engine vehicle. In this case, it's not really a vehicle, it's more of a race car. And the carbon fiber bits are very expensive. And when Brad Pitt had gotten the car, and yes, he was actually driving in the movie, guys. There were some scenes where he was actually driving, and there's a lot of cars that were thrashed. A lot of carbon fiber bits were thrashed. Now, Were they plastic? I'm not too sure about that. It was a Mercedes-style vehicle, Mercedes-style F1 car with a livery very similar to Mercedes, besides Apex GP, Apex GP being Grand Prix. And I'm not too sure what Apex standed for, but Brad Pitt, at the first trial run, had crashed that car.
Well,
when he crashed that car, it reminded me of the Lego situation that they had in Formula F1, and they just destroyed those Lego cars. There was definitely not like any kind of remembrance of it, and people spent hours building those kind of cars. Now, kind of getting into the bittersweet thing, back when I was talking about how they left Sonny Hayes on the track, Brad Pitt, they had also, that was cool. So now talking back into it, Joshua was racing along with Brad Pitt. He was very full of himself. He loved himself. He was all about attention, all about media, all about everybody accepting him, not just for the driver's sense. He definitely was exactly how young Sonny Hayes was, to where he was just arrogant, wasn't listening.
He's cocky, he's arrogant, he's got a lot to learn.
You were cocky, you were arrogant, and you had a lot to learn.
Whatever he wants. And this team was actually falling apart. Apex GP only had one investor, and that investor was a snake. But only had one investor left into the company to support with all the funds and all the programming and all that fun stuff that goes into the Formula F1 team. Definitely they needed Sonny Hayes, because the team not only needed a new driver, it needed structure. The team was crumbling. Sonny Hayes came in, he kind of structured the kid, but the kid still got a little arrogant.
overtake him, copy.
He's been gaining. Joshua has slingshots past Sonny.
Tell JP to wait for the straight into turn 1. Be patient.
If Joshua listened to Sonny Hayes, they would have had their first win. But of course, this is a movie. This is a backstory. It's not a real story. But it's kind of a glimpse into how a Formula F1 driver's life can change. Now, he did not listen to him. He did not take that slow churn. Instead, he kind of gunned it around him. And just like in Grand Prix and other movies, a very big catastrophic event happened. Now, it was crazy because at the time, and remember I talked about Sonny Hayes being left on the track. At the time, Joshua could have been left in that car by Sonny Hayes, but Sonny decided to go ahead and drop his ego, drop all that cockiness, and pulled him out of the car. Now, of course, they got there quick, but if they were any later, Joshua would have definitely not made Formula F1 anymore. And it was cool because later on in the movie, he did come to Sonny and he apologized. He did start to do exactly how Sonny was and do all the old practices, get back into shape, get back into racing, and he'd listen to him. It was to the point to where both of the teammates were definitely working with each other and not against each other. And at the very end of the movie, it was pretty cool because Joshua had took all of what he learned from Sonny, all the crazy driving, all the gambling, all the high risks, everything that Sonny does to make his championship work out and always come in the first place. He had learned from him and played a little dirty for the first place spot, but he gave Sonny the opportunity to win Formula F1. Being an American, winning an F1 race means a lot. And I'm pretty sure with Sonny, he never thought he would be able to win an F1, let alone be in F1 racing. And that's pretty cool, a little background about the character Sonny Hayes, because he was not an F1, but he was a Formula driver before. As I mentioned earlier, he's not an F1, not too sure what it was back in the 90s. This is way before my time, of course. And I wish I could witness those kind of races back then. Now, it is pretty cool because you can see the difference between the 2025 F1 cars to the old Formula cars. Now, the car, if I had not mentioned, maybe I have. The car in the movie is not an F1 car. It's an F2 racing car. That's what I was talking about earlier. How it has less horsepower, less powerful, but still crazy that Brad Pitt and other movie actors were able to drive it. Now, as far as the other drivers in the movie, they were actual Formula F1 drivers, and they're trained professionals to be driving it. Of course, there's computer-generated images.
All the F1 drivers.
Some of the driving, like drone shots and inside shots, were actually driven on a track. So it's pretty cool how they did this movie. It's definitely like Grand Prix. I do like the inside shots, their faces and shaking and everything of them driving. It definitely puts you in the cockpit and puts you to see how the the actors are while driving the vehicles. So this was definitely a cool movie. If you guys haven't seen it, I hope I didn't spoil too much, but I do recommend it. And definitely when it comes out on Netflix, I'm for sure going to be watching it over and over again. Now, I'm not too big into the Formula F1 scene, but it's cool to see how much tech has came along from the 90s till now, of how much they did to the Formula F1 cars, down to the wind tunnels to see about the aerodynamics, and of course to also see about all the way how the spoilers in the front are, the halo bar on top, the steering wheel, all that fun stuff. And even in the movie, I like how they had a little tiny screen to kind of keep track of all those track times. That way, in your head, you can either pick it up quicker or, you're doing better than your teammate. Of course, it's always going to be a competition between you and somebody else, but teamwork always works out, especially when racing in Formula One. Now, they even included McLaren and Ferrari. Now, a little fun fact. In the movie, they have a press conference between APXGP, McLaren, and Ferrari. And McLaren and Ferrari were actual CEOs in the F1 racing team. Don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure that those were officials, because just like in Ballers, they have a little off topic. Just like in Ballers, it's a sports show, and that one actually has the coach from the Patriots. So I love when movies and shows get the actual coaches, the actual people, bringing in that full experience of the F1 team, bringing in that full experience of the F1 scene for everyone. So that was one little Easter egg that I like to mention, guys. Of course, if you're just watching this just to watch it and you really don't understand too much, if you're like me and you're kind of into the F1 scene but don't know too much, it's cool to be seeing that these are actual people who are part of the racing team, and they didn't just get a random deep fake. They didn't get some random people to play as some random people, and it's actual true to the heritage. I love when movies are like that. It definitely brings in that full F1 experience. Something I think that was pretty cool too is that Sonny Hayes never touched the cup. And touching the cup is something that I believe to him was a superstitious, and if you touch it, you're going to be consumed by greed, consumed by a lot of different things, always winning, always wanting that championship. But living life and just going from one town, one race to the next, and just enjoying the time, even if you win that first place, is what it really is all about. It's just having fun and beating yourself. Because for 30 years accident, then he got back into F1 racing. Sonny Hayes was doing in and out of racing, and he was told not to live because the way how the car had split into half and left him on the track, he should not have lived that day. Something else that was a little bit scary, at the very end, Sonny Hayes in the last race, he was having a double vision and was not able to see. And the way how they plotted the movie was kind of like he's going to crash. He's going to mess it up. They're not going to win first place. But that movie would have been dragged on. At least they gave us some awesome ending to where he pushed through his sickness. He pushed through hallucinating. And he was able to win the first place. And it's cool that Sonny Hayes took the W instead of Joshua, only because Sonny Hayes lost 30 years ago. And also, it shows the maturitiness between both of them. So definitely, if you guys have 2.5 hours to spare, I would definitely recommend watching the video. It's adrenaline packed and definitely keeps you on the edge of your seat. Now, some might even say that it is Top Gun on wheels. It is crazy to think, guys, that this Formula F1 movie seems so realistic in the way how technology has came so far, that it must have been done on the track. And I'm pretty sure it was, because just like airplane movies where they shoot in the sky, the F1 racing is all about on the track. So if you guys like today's mini little review, mini little vlog, I wasn't saying too much, but just to sum it up, this movie definitely seemed like Cars 2, but a real life one. And of course had some tie-ins with a little bit of Grand Prix, but Grand Prix racing was with a sim driver. This one was with the driver who was in an accident, came back out of the hiding and proved that he can be an F1 racing star. And it's even better to think about that they had actual actors, not stunt drivers, but actual actors driving 200 miles plus hour. Of course, it couldn't have been anybody else but Brad Pitt driving 200 plus miles an hour down a track in a Formula F2 racing car, styled as a Formula F1 racing car. So if you guys like today's vlog, like today's video, definitely make sure to smash that subscription button, comment down below. I went over everything pretty quick, guys. I don't want to spoil too much, but the movie does end in a good way. So see it. Make sure to subscribe, guys. Check all the other videos on the channel. This month's going to be a little bit different than the other months. We're not going to be going to too many car meets and car shows. But as always, guys, stay safe and stay chill.
Formula One, if you win, you are the absolute best in the world.